started telling us to practice scales. And why are scales so important when we practice jazz? And this might be a question you are asking. And the answer to the question is because scales are melody. In most jazz standards, the melody consists of scales. Because the jazz standards we play actually have lyrics and we sing the lyrics with our voices, so the melody have to be scale based. So it's quite logical when we are playing jazz licks, they need to be singable. And therefore we use scales. And this is why we need to practice our scales. Because the melody in jazz is so important, it's also very natural to link the scales to the melody of the tunes. So when learning jazz, what are the most effective and best scale exercises there is? And here's my pick of 10 important scale exercises you must add into your practice. The first exercise is basic ascending scales. You see that I'm playing the scales up to the 7th, because this fits directly into the jazz standards on the chords we are playing. And you get the chord tones of the chords on the beats of the bar. And when you add these scale exercises into your music, you can take them directly and copy paste them into the tune you are playing. When practicing any material, you should really make a habit of adding it directly into your music as soon as you have trained it. And yes, this is clearly an exercise of the scale descending. You might think that the scale up and down is the same, but it's not. Practicing the scale going up and scale going down makes you flexible. You are ready to play the scale both up and down. You know the movement. And one of the most important things in technical training is being ready to execute the movement. So about this readiness, it's crucial that you're ready, that you are flexible and playing your scales both up and down. Because when you hear something, you want to react to this immediately. You want to be in the music. And at the point I want to change the direction of the scale, I need to have the scale ready 100% in my fingers. Of course, I will not leave you cold without any exercises to practice. All exercises here and lots more are in the lesson manual PDF on Patreon. Everything is written out in all 12 keys, so you can practice your favorite key or your most challenging key. The lesson manual PDF download link is in the description. Practicing thirds in the scale is a really good technical exercise. This is the best way to get your fingers flexible because you're changing the direction of your fingers every time you play a new third. But training thirds in the scale is also an amazing way to train turns in the scale or in your solo lines. For example, when a line goes from up till down. Or the opposite when you're changing direction from down till up. At the top of the line you see that I make this little skip between the D and the F, jumping into the E. That's what I mean by playing the thirds in the scale. You need to have them ready. Using this third interval turn function, you can play any scale and change the scale in the middle. Because what the third does, it changes the accent from one scale to another scale. Another feature of the third is that the third is an enclosure of the following note. So you're skipping a step but adding the note you skipped in the next beat. The next tone becomes the target note. When training the thirds, you need to have these things in mind, that you're also training the enclosures and you're also training turns. We'll use this in some of the licks later. And this makes the third interval an amazing structure to have in your solo vocabulary. For example, take any part of the third interval in the scale and just add it into your solo. Playing simple 4-note patterns like this one, consisting of 4 consecutive notes after each other in the scale, is an amazing feature. This adds so much to your solo vocabulary. I tend to use these 4-note patterns mostly on dominant chords, but you can use them anywhere, of course. Because the 4-note patterns fits perfectly in a 4/4 bar, they are amazing to use and easy to insert. Be sure to train flexibility. Play these 4-note patterns down the scale too. But you could also use these 4-note scale patterns to get a more modern sound. The modern sound comes when you play up or down the scale and making a huge jump towards the next 4-note pattern or the next line in your music. The bigger jumps in the line also disconnects the line from the traditional leading tones going into each other. And this also results in a more modern sound, not leading directly into all the target notes. This is the famous Coltrane pattern 1, 2, 3, 5. This pattern is great to be able to insert in all your solos. Coltrane did it, we should do it too. This pattern consists of 1, 2, 3, 3 scale notes in a row and a third interval after that. And you played both the scale and you played the third interval, so basically it's just connecting these two exercises. And here you see how smoothly the 1, 2, 3, 5 patterns can be added into your solo material. They just glide into each other. You probably heard there are more ways to divide the scale into these 1, 2, 3, 5 patterns or the Coltrane patterns. As a general rule, which you can of course skip because we're playing jazz, you can play the 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern on major and the 1, 3, 4, 5 on minor chords. Try making different lines using both patterns as you will, and see what you like best or see how you're going to use them. One thing I really need to stress and want to stress is when you're practicing scale patterns, don't just practice scale patterns for the scale patterns. Practice them to be able to play more and better music. Always when playing any exercise, you should think of it, how can I use this musically? How can I add this into my music? This is the most important thing. Do not practice any exercise you do not have any use for in your music. Add the exercise you're playing directly into the tunes you're playing, directly into the licks, directly into the music, as soon as you have them under your fingers. As I said before, all licks, all exercises, plus lots more are written into the lesson manual PDF on Patreon. And there's a lot extras. So all the exercises I'm hooking up into licks and lines that you can use directly into your playing. And of course everything is in 12 keys. And the lesson manual PDF download link is right here. Digging into scales when you're working on jazz improvisation is a must. That makes this video a must too. You need to check out the most important scale in jazz. Play music, have fun.